Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. This is the second part of the Macarpa Cypress bowl. So the standard bowl was the one I done last week. So the live edge one is the one I'm going to turn today. So yeah, 30th of the 9th, 23, nearly two years ago, this was rough turned. Yeah, and as I said, it's a piece of Macarpa Cypress. So I'm just going to mount it on the lathe, and I will put a temporary recess on the inside so as I can rechuck it, and that will give me access to the underside of the piece and get that all tidied up and a proper recess done. So if you look closely at the bark there, you can see it's actually quite furry, very fibrous. So some of them may fly off. Now just grabbing a pencil, just going to mark the center, and with my dividers I'll mark for my recess. So throughout this piece I will be wearing a mask because it is quite dusty. I found the other piece very dusty as well. So that's just a diamond parting tool. So I'm just going to form a recess. As I said, this is just going to be temporary. It just gives me access to the underside of the bowl. And now a little half-inch skew just to put a dovetail in. That's all I need. I only went in a couple of millimeters. I had near enough an inch of material in the bottom of that piece, so I had plenty of room. Now just checking the measurement there. It was too big. I made the opening too big in the bottom, so I will resize that for a larger chuck. So that's a 3/8 inch ball gouge. Just going to start truing up the bottom. The wood was very, very dry. It was down to 10% moisture. Now that spindle gouge just coming across, cleaning up the bottom. Just truing it up basically. Now have my divider set for my larger chuck. So I'll be getting this recess. I think it's their 5-inch jaws, but I'll be leaving the recess in. So I want to get the size as good as I can. So again, little diamond parting tool. And again, a little skew just for a dovetail. So I can take away most of that material in the middle. Just checking with the ruler, make sure I have it low enough. So that's just a little 1-inch shear scraper. So I'm just putting a little detail. You can see I left a slight little mound in the bottom, or a little button, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to leave that in just as a little feature. Now that's the recess all done and cleaned up. Now for the start shaping the underside. So again, back to the 5/8 inch ball gouge. I mostly use a 5/8 and a 3/8. 50 degree with a swept back wing is my preferred. Although I do have 55 and I do have 45, but my preferred one is the 50 degree swept back wing. So as you can see, there's not a lot of material to come off of this piece, same as with the other one I done. Now you can see the section I've still to do. So just working back from the bark side now so as I don't chip it off. A little bit of tear out on the bark, but not too bad. So I'm just missing a small bit there, so I'm going to have to take another cut. So still a little bit to get. Now switching over to the smaller 3/8 inch ball gouge. I prefer the 3/8 for the last couple of cuts. As you can see, it's nice and sharp. That cut quite nice. It's nice wood to cut. It doesn't tend to tear out too badly. So just working my way up now to the bark section. You can see there it's getting a little bit fuzzy. So now switching over to a little spear point scraper. I'm just going to do a little shear scrape along. The handle dropped down low and the tool turned over at 45 or 50 degrees. And just pulling it along the surface there, nice and slow at a steady pace. You can see those lovely little shavings coming off. That will give you a really, really good finish. Sanding is one of the things I hate. So the better the finish I can get on the piece, the less time I am sanding. So a little shear scraper does a great job. If you'd like to learn to get efficient with scrapers, check out Tomislav Tomasic. He does some great videos on both sharpening scrapers and using them. He's really, really good. That's where I learned some of my techniques from. Now that surface has cleaned up quite nice. I've spotted a little tiny bit of tear out, so I just switched over to a little 1-inch shear scraper. Probably for no other reason other than it was sharp. I like to try different tools and see how they work on different woods. Now, time for a bit of sanding. I'll skip through the sanding, guys. I'll just show you a couple of clips. My usual method for sanding is a right angle drill. I sometimes use an ordinary standard drill as well, but I find this drill great. I'm using it now a couple of years, and I'm still on the same battery. It's really, really good. And just a little Scotch-Brite pad. I sanded up to my usual 400 grit, and then give it a rub with the Scotch-Brite pad. It's now time to get it out of the chuck. I will be changing chucks. I said I'm putting on the bigger one. I think they're 5-inch jaws in expansion mode. And if I size the recess as accurately as I can, the jaws won't leave any marks, so I'll be able to leave the recess in. So now starting again with my 5/8-inch ball gouge. So again, there's not a lot of material to come off, a couple of passes and I should have it done. So you can see I'm still missing a section there, the bowl elongated on the grain, as most timbers will do as they're drying. So now I'm down to decent wood all the way around. A little bit there in the bottom to come out. Lovely little bit of ripple in it there, or a bit of figure, whatever you want to call it. It's a beautiful piece of wood, really is. Now back to my little 1-inch shear scraper. Again, you can see those lovely little fine shavings coming off, so it leaves a pretty good finish. So a little bit more. So now the final scrape on the inside of the bowl. And it's all nice and level. So ready for sanding. So again, I sand up to 400 grit. And the little yellow Scotch-Brite pad just for a final rub, and it's good to go. So guys, that's the piece all sanded, sanded up really well, but this wood is so dusty, both to turn and to sand. I did have to wear a mask throughout this, so um, I will voice over the rest of the video. So now, to get a finish on it, as you can see, it turned out quite amazing. Just a beautiful piece of sap or heartwood here, which is that lovely, lovely, lovely red colour, and then the white cambium. But the bark stayed on all the way around, but the bark is actually quite fuzzy. There's like loads of little fibres, so I had to lightly sand it, but I got it as best I could. So I'm going to put the other bowl I put citrus burnishing oil on it, but I can't obviously burnish this piece with those live edges flying around. So I'm just going to put some boiled linseed oil on. So I'll get it off of the chuck. So my recess looks nice. I just got the recess the perfect size for these jaws, so it didn't mark, so I'm happy with that. I just left a slight little dome. Help if I change camera, you can see it. Yeah, so I left a slight little dome here when I done the base, so just the camera's picking it up. But yeah, a little foot, but yeah, quite happy with it. And you can see a lovely little bit of ripple in it here as well. So maybe you see it better on the inside. Maybe I'll change this one. So yeah, you can just see it over here. See a nice little bit of ripple. So anyway, getting off track. We'll get a finish on. So I have my little ball of boiled linseed oil. I'm just going to apply it with a brush. So we'll do the underside first. I could have used Danish oil either. Or a hard wax oil would have worked quite as well. Oh, look at that bark, the way it just darkened up. Yeah, so you can see that bark is changing colour there when it gets the oil. It's quite cool. I put a nice generous coat on. I let it soak in for 10 minutes or so, and then I can wipe off all the excess. Looks every bit as good as the other piece. Just get a little bit into that bark all the way around. So that's a nice, good, generous coat on. So as I said, I'll give that 10 minutes just to soak in. I'll wipe off all the excess. But looking good so far. So yeah, a piece of Macarpa Cypress. So it's soaking in quite well. So yeah, guys, I'll leave it sit for about 10 minutes, and we'll wipe off the excess down, take a look at it. Now guys, that's all the excess oil wiped off, and I think that came out quite amazing. As I said, there's a lovely little bit of ripple here in it. I said in the previous video, the pit of this log was actually way over here. This was a limb that was grown off of a large tree, and it was coming off at about 90 degrees. So this would have been actually up. So that's why the pit was at the top. So you can see the grain gets wider as it goes down. So yeah, a stunning piece of wood. Some beautiful colours in it. So happy enough with the finish as well. Sometimes with a live edge piece, it's hard to get a nice uniform curve, because you're cutting wood, you're cutting air. So it's yeah, it takes a bit of practice to get it right. But yeah, I'm quite happy with it. A nice little knot here as well, nice little feature. So just compare it to, this is the other half. So color-wise, I think they came out quite similar. Citrus burnishing oil and the oil linseed oil. Although I would say maybe possibly a little shade lighter, but yeah, happy enough with it. So anyway, guys, if you enjoyed the video, you might consider tapping that like, and if you're not subscribed, you might consider doing so. And don't forget to leave me a comment also, and let me know what you think. And I should catch us all in the next one. So take care.